Hello and welcome to another session of Therapy and Panels. Oh, I'm sorry, did I say another session of Therapy and Panels? I meant to say the 100th episode of Therapy and Panels. Holy crap, guys, we have made it 100 episodes. That is insane. Thank you all so much for that. I gotta think, man, what could be a great book to do a review on for the 100th episode? I got it. We'll do the 100th review on Marvel's and DC's first crossover together. Originally pitched as a movie to Stan Lee and Carmine Infantino, and if it wasn't for the fact that the Superman movie and the Spider-Man TV show were coming at the time, this may have been a possibility. So maybe in some universe out there we have the Superman and Spider-Man team-up movie. So instead they decided on making it a comic instead. Technically being the second book that the two companies made together, with the first being, of all the weirdness of it, The Wizard of Oz. Due to it being such a big moment, they created it in a treasury format, which is basically just double the size of a normal comic. Basically, a treasury edition means the book is freaking gigantic compared to most other things. It was done by Jerry Conway and Ross Andru, with some uncredited artwork by Neil Adams and John Romita Sr. at the time. I'm excited to get started on this, so how about we all just kick back, relax, and get to our 100th review with Superman vs. the Amazing Spider-Man. The cover is pretty great, with our two heroes looking ready to rumble. If I had to make a complaint, I would say that the background of the city doesn't look finished with all the white still in the background there. And I know it's their title logos for the book, but it almost feels like Spidey has already one-upped Superman due to him being called the Amazing Spider-Man, while he is just Superman. I don't know, that's just a weird thought I had. We begin in Metropolis, where a giant robot is trashing the city like it's a big Black Friday sale. Superman jumps in to stop it, but the robot has a counter for everything he throws. Heat vision, super strength, giving him the dad voice. Everything ignored. Then it casually just swipes something from a computer console and walks off like he just finished grocery shopping. Superman tries to shove it into the ground, but surprise, it detaches its head and rockets into the sky. It turns out the whole thing was just a distraction so Lex Luthor could escape to continue his plans. Unable to catch up somehow, Clark heads back to his day job at Galaxy Communications. Yeah, this was during a time when comics were trying to be a bit more modern at the time for Superman. So for a while, instead of being a newspaper reporter for the Daily Planet, he was a news reporter for Galaxy Communications. Obviously, by how much pop culture and stuff is used still today, that didn't last long. On his way into the office, co-worker Steve Lombard sets up the classic bucket of water over the door prank, but ends up getting drenched in the water himself. Probably a life lesson for you there, Steve. Don't pull practical jokes when you are a man of your age. After the meeting with his boss, Morgan Edge, a news broadcast about the fight earlier sparks an idea, and Clark goes to change into Superman. He decides to follow the trail of destruction from the beginning of it that leads to an underwater lair and is confronted by Lex Luthor. Superman tries to talk to Lex about how once they were friends and maybe one day they could be again. Me? Friends with you, Superman? Have you forgotten that you were the reason that I lost my beautiful hair in the first place? No, seriously, Adventure Comics number 271. Lex activates a bunch of death traps, but of course, being Superman, he survives them, and before being sent to prison, manages to send off the device that he was stolen earlier, like it was an Amazon Prime package, to an unknown location. We then cut to New York City with Spidey taking pictures for the Daily Bugle when he is ambushed by Dr. Octopus in his new flying octopus. Because nothing is more terrifying than looking out your window and seeing a flying octopus. Ock knocks Spidey out, steals some equipment, and escapes just as the police arrive, naturally blaming Spider-Man for the thieves. Because at this point, the NYPD's motto is, when in doubt, blame Spider-Man for it. Back at the Bugle, Jonah buys Peter's photos without looking at them, and automatically has the best one sent up to be the first front page of the Bugle, realizing too late that they're blurry. In anger, he kicks Peter out, who bumps into Mary Jane, who is his date for the evening. But the sight of a suspicious blimp means that it's hero time. I guess it turns out that during their fight earlier, Peter managed to place a spider tracer on Otto. So Spider-Man swings into action, crashing the blimp and taking Ock down. MJ surprisingly isn't mad about being ditched the following night, as Peter meets her at the convention for a new conference that is being held. Peter Parker, both the unluckiest yet luckiest boyfriend of all time. In prison, Luthor and Doc Ock meet, with this comic making it that these two universes have existed in the same world this whole time. Lex, managing to smuggle in some tech due to a patch he had on his arm, uses the device to create a sonic wave thing that messes with the guards, and I guess somehow creates a pulse that reactivates Otto's tentacles, allowing him to make a quite dramatic escape. Highlight of this book, Lex Luthor piggybacking on Dr. Octopus. This panel alone has become one of my all-time favorite things I've ever seen in my life. At the news conference held in New York, Jonah tries to get Peter to do some work, but gets yelled at instead, while Clark and the Daily Planet crew have arrived in New York to do the same event. Clark is told by Morgan Edge he may get replaced by a different reporter. Meanwhile, Lois is trying to get some pictures of the ComLab satellite. Which is weird to me, considering I'm pretty sure she is still considered a reporter, not a photographer. She begins to fall off the scaffolding until she is saved by Peter Parker, who was there doing the same job. As Miss Lane is introduced to MJ, MJ weirdly is either offended or by the word miss or jealous of Lois. I'm not entirely sure. Before things get weirder, Superman suddenly arrives, zapping both of the ladies into thin air, which is confusing since Clark and Peter see Superman doing this. They both decide to go change into their costumes, and when they immediately see the other. Of course, as required by Article 1 of the crossover for superheroes, they always gotta immediately fight each other upon meeting. Not far off, it turns out the imposter Superman was Lex in disguise, and to help make a little getaway and a much more fight for Spidey, shoots him with a red sun radiation unknown to anyone else in the area somehow. This helps us get a really quite awesome fight scene. With how everything is drawn, the pacing alone, I honestly think all comics should use this as an example for their fight scenes. The fight gets to the point where both Superman and Spidey are getting pretty frustrated, especially Superman, seeing as he was about to do a punch that would have ended up killing Spidey. He managed to stop it just in time, but the force of the punch, his movement, sends a shockwave, sending Spidey off. Spidey returns to continue the fight, but unfortunately the red sun radiation wears off, and he says this line: "When did you suddenly get so hard?" Good night, everybody. Once the two finally calm down, they realize they've been duped and decide to team up. They track an energy signal to the warehouse full of traps, of course. Spidey dodging everything like a video game character, while Superman just breaks through the walls like a wrecking ball. Inside, they discover Lois and MJ are trapped by their villains and realize the villains are also holograms. Because, of course, they're holograms. Using the computer in the area, they have the trail continued leading to Mount Kilimanjaro, where Lex has juiced up a tribesman with superhuman strength and a red sun sword. Supes and Spidey manage to defeat him by combining the webbing from Spidey and Superman's heat vision, which somehow basically turns it into super glue times 3,000, I guess. The villains escape to space, hijacking the satellite comm lab using the console Lex stole earlier in the comic, and basically turning it into a glorified weather dominator, creating hurricanes and demanding $10 billion or let the hurricane continue destroying the world. Cue the Dr. Evil music. Supes and Spidey borrowing a spacecraft to go up and confront the two, but when they get inside, Lex shuts off the artificial gravity, turning it into a ZOG slap fight. Superman zips down to stop a tidal wave that is going to destroy a major part of the planet, while Spidey manages to convince Otto Octavius that Lex is going to just destroy the planet. Otto, realizing, oh crap, that's where all my stuff is, changes his sides, attacking Lex, deactivating the console, and Spidey manages to take down both Lex and Otto, while Superman stops the tidal wave while moving Mach 3, creating a wind force, and then finds Spidey already tied up the villains, and the two haul them back to prison, pat each other on the back, and return to the convention in civilian clothes. Everyone's happy, girlfriend's safe, and the comic ends. At least until the next crossover requires them to inevitably punch each other again. This was a great read. The art is fantastic, and while the plot is pretty basic, the action is well played and to where you don't even care about the basics of the plot. It gives great love and respect for both characters and their supporting cast, not trying to one-up the other. If I had to make one complaint, I would just say it's the size of the book not having a great place to store. Personally, just drives me insane. And with that, it is the end of today's review. Me and Hoppy here want to say thank you for watching us for 100 episodes. And we are looking forward to 100 plus more to come over the time when we're here. Thank you for attending today's session. If you liked the video, please be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, I am the Super Guru. And this is Hoppy. And we once again say thank you. Signing off.